Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a pretty wild claim that a powerful global group is trying to completely change the definition of what a cyber criminal is. We're going to break down what our source material says and what this could all mean for your money and your privacy. So let's get right into it. So our story kicks off with this, a really startling prediction from the World Economic Forum. We've got Jeremy Jurgens, one of their top people, saying out loud that a catastrophic mutating event is going to hit us all within 2 years. So you have to ask, what on earth is he talking about? Well, he's not talking about a new virus or a natural disaster. Nope. According to the WEF, and get this, 93% of the cyber leaders they asked, they believe a massive, world-altering cyber event isn't just a possibility, it's pretty much inevitable. Okay, so if some kind of cyber 9/11 is really on the horizon, that raises a pretty big question. Who's getting ready for it? And maybe more importantly, what exactly are they planning to do about it? This is where we see a very powerful and very influential group stepping up. That group is the World Economic Forum's Partnership Against Cybercrime, or WPAC for short. And this public-private partnership is right at the absolute center of this whole push. And when you actually look at who's in this club, wow, it's a staggering amount of power all in one place. We're talking government and corporate might all fused together. You've got the FBI, the Department of Justice, working hand in hand with tech giants like Amazon and Microsoft, and big finance like Bank of America. And with Interpol on board, you know their reach is absolutely global. Now, on paper, their mission sounds totally reasonable. They want to create a global group to go after the bad guys, targeting their infrastructure and their money. I mean, who wouldn't support that, right? But, and this is a huge but, the source we're looking at today says the real story is hidden in how they get to define who a cyber criminal actually is. And this right here is the absolute key. According to the source, the entire strategy depends on expanding the definition of who a cyber criminal is, stretching it way, way beyond what you or I would normally think of. So how does this supposed expansion work? Well, it happens in stages. First, you start with the obvious targets, the traditional hackers, the ransomware gangs. Everyone agrees they're criminals. Easy enough. But then you take another step. The definition gets wider, and now it includes people just using cryptocurrency privacy tools, things like mixers that help them stay anonymous. And finally, the last step. The definition expands one more time to label people accused of spreading disinformation as cybercriminals. And just like that, the goalposts have moved from fighting financial crime to controlling speech. So if the definition is getting bigger and bigger, what's the ultimate target? The source claims this isn't really about stopping all hackers. It's about going after a very specific perceived threat to the traditional financial system. It really makes you wonder, why go through all this trouble? Why would you lump in someone who just wants financial privacy or someone who says something you don't like online with actual ransomware gangs? Well, according to the source, the answer has everything to do with the future of money itself. And the central claim is this. The whole point of this effort is to take out the competition for a new kind of money that governments and central banks are working on as we speak. And this slide just lays out the conflicts perfectly. You've basically got two possible paths for the future of finance. On one side, you have private crypto like Bitcoin. It's decentralized, meaning the user is in control and it offers privacy. On the other side, you've got central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, and they are the total opposite. Centralized, government-controlled, and literally designed for easy surveillance. The argument is, for the CBDCs to win, the competition has to be dealt with first. Okay, so how do you get everyone on board with such a massive change? You have to build a really powerful story, a narrative. So let's take a look at the story that's being told, and then let's compare it to the actual data presented in the source. The public narrative is one I'm sure you've heard a million times. You see it all over the media. It goes something like this. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are directly responsible for the explosion in all these costly ransomware attacks. But what does the data actually say? Well, according to the source, the reality looks more like this single number, 0.34%. That is the tiny percentage of all crypto transactions in 2020 that were linked to any kind of illegal activity. But here's the real twist. This data comes from a report by a company called Chainalysis, a company that is an active member of WSKAPC, the very same group. So this suggests that behind the scenes, they know perfectly well that criminal use is just a tiny fraction of the bigger picture. So let's tie this all together. What does all of this mean for you, for the average person? Well, the source warns that what's ultimately at stake here is nothing less than our personal freedom and our financial privacy. The endgame that's feared looks something like this. First, a massive cyber event happens, a cyber 9/11, which is then used to justify sweeping new laws. Under these laws, just using tools to keep your transactions private could suddenly make you a criminal suspect. And if you dare to disagree online, you could be labeled a spreader of disinformation, which is now a new kind of cybercrime. The potential result? The end of financial privacy as we know it, replaced by total surveillance. And all of this leaves us with one final, really provocative question. As we face the very real threat of cybercrime, we have to ask ourselves, in this hunt for security, are we accidentally going down a path where the simple act of wanting financial privacy becomes a crime itself? That's the trade-off we might all have to think about very soon.